Phoenix and the University of Maryland's Terrapins. Let's meet the starting lineups. At center for Kansas, listed at 6'10", a junior from Richmond, California, wearing 0, Drew Gooden. At forward for Maryland, listed at 6'6", a senior from Raleigh, Louisiana, number 1, Byron Mouton. At forward for Kansas, listed at 6'9", a junior from Iowa Falls, Iowa, wearing number 4, Nick Callison. At center for Maryland, listed at 6'8", a senior from Silver Spring, Maryland, wearing number 35, Lonnie Baxter. At guard for Kansas, listed at 6'1", a senior from Valley City, North Dakota, wearing number 13, Jeff Boschee. At forward for Maryland, listed at 6'10", a sophomore from Whiteville, North Carolina, number 54, Chris Wilcox. At guard for Kansas, listed at 6'3", a junior from Sioux City, Iowa, wearing number 10, Kurt Heinrich. At guard from Maryland, listed at 6'3", a junior from Miami Lakes, Florida, wearing number 25, Steve Blake. At guard for Kansas, listed at 6'1", a freshman from Portland, Oregon, wearing number 11, Aaron Miles. At guard from Maryland, listed at 6'3", a senior from Baltimore, Maryland, number 3, Juan Dixon. Introducing the head coaches for Kansas, Roy Williams. And for Maryland, Gary Williams.
Gary Williams, only the second coach to ever take his alma mater to 2 Final Fours. Jim Boeheim, the other. Back-to-back years for Maryland. Roy Williams bringing Kansas to the promised land for the 3rd time in his 14 years in Kansas. Billy, how about the Packer points here?
Well, anchormen, we're talking about Collison and Baxter. Now, one of the things to keep in mind, look at how close they are in scoring, is the fact that they get into foul trouble. Collison has fouled out of 6 games. He's had 4 fouls in 11 others, so that's really critical. Instant offense. Both of these teams not only get bench production, but great production off the bench. Kansas with a slight edge there, 24-21. That's going to be very important in tonight's game. Be quick, but don't hurry. The assist-to-turnover ratio for Kansas is good, but for Maryland, it is excellent. Slight edge to Maryland in that one. And, of course, we get down to one glaring difference between these two teams, and that is rebounding. Look at Kansas, an 8.9 rebound advantage. Maryland just 3.7. So a little assist-turnover ratio to Maryland, rebounding edge to Kansas. These two teams, Jim, are as close as any two teams we've seen in a Final Four go head-to-head.
I sensed sitting with you at practice yesterday that this rebounding issue you felt going in was going to be the difference.
It really is, and sometimes you wonder why Maryland has problems on the boards that they do against better teams. We saw Connecticut kind of take it to them just last week with a much smaller basketball team.
Higgins, Hightower, and Corbett with the honor of officiating this semifinal. Gooden takes the tip, but actually right into the arms of Mouton.
Stole the tap. Wilcox never even got up.
Wilcox. And Gooden with the good box out to begin.
Gooden much quicker to the ball and rebounding than is Baxter. Baxter, a man with a big body.
Gooden, that shot blocked by Wilcox.
And that will be some matchup right there. Wilcox can play anybody in the country when he is motivated to do so, as he was against Mike Dunleavy of Duke. He can go outside or in.
Steve Blake going against a freshman point guard. Many expect a big game here by Blake tonight. He's had some struggles in the tournament, and a steal here by the Hawks. Miles back over Collison. Gooden swatted away. Second rejection for Wilcox.
No one in the United States and the college level goes up as high as Wilcox. So quick off the floor. Aaron Miles lost his shoe. The officials, because that ball was knocked way out of bounds, give him a little time here to readjust.
How much has Wilcox improved from his sophomore to junior year, freshman to sophomore year?
Well, without question, Jim, you're talking about a young man that's probably improved as much as anybody. Last year in the Duke game in the semifinals, to give you an example, he played 6 minutes and had 2 points. So we're looking at a guy who was slight coming off the bench to a guy now that could be a major factor in this game. Both teams straight man-to-man.
Collison, Baxter. This will be some matchup, and Nick Collison puts Kansas on the board first.
Good move by both coaches. They are going to take that anchor man position and force them to guard each other. Which one gets into foul trouble?
And thrown away by Mouton. The Maryland Road out of the East to the Final Four. First time ever in school history, a #1 seed. Went through Siena, Wisconsin. That's the largest margin of victory in Terrapin NCAA history. And then Kentucky and the UConn Classic, where there were 24 lead changes.
Baxter with the great hands. Not a great leaper, but he has the hands.
Blake put that right above the rim.
Early in the game, Jim, I question whether or not you want to make that pass. You want to get in your half-court offense. Let Dixon touch the ball some. Going for home runs early can be just big turnovers.
And they have turned it over, Billy. 3 of their first 4 possessions. Heinrich open. Three-pointer, guns it.
Right now, Collison is getting excellent position on Baxter down low. I think that Collison's doing a much better job positioning defensively on Baxter.
Blake surrounded. Gives it up. Baxter. And he'll... Oh, they're calling a charge on Baxter. Collison stood his ground.
Baxter trying to go through 2. There was good in there, so Collison realized he didn't have to go for the shot block. Wisely stays on the ground. Dixon has not yet touched the ball for Maryland, Jim. Not a good move for their team.
Maryland's been shut out the first 2.5. Collison, that one's blocked. Pass somehow gets through to Mouton for Maryland's first.
That was not the intention. There you go, Kansas running off the break. They do that better than anybody in college basketball. Second foul on Baxter, and what we talked about at the top of the show, critical already. Fortunately for Gary Williams, he goes to the bench with some good talent. It'll be Holden or Randall coming in early.
And he's going to go with Taj Holden. He has 2 players with good size coming off that bench. Holden, and as you said, Randall, and he feels Randall. Talking about Gary Williams.
One of the
will be a big key here today.
Jim, one of the things that was, I thought, very obvious real early in this game, Baxter was not getting as good a position defensively as was Collison. And so he finds himself sitting down, and he has been so productive for this team.
So 2 fouls on Baxter in less than 3 minutes. A charge at one end and a hack on Miles at the other. And 7-2 Kansas.
MVP of the East Regional sitting down. Blake probably should have shot that ball.
And Dixon pinned underneath. And it's Kansas ball out of bounds.
Too tight of quarters to make a pass.
This Kansas team, and you can see why already, Billy, if you haven't watched the Jayhawks this year, is the highest scoring team in America on the season.
Well, they push the ball up. They actually almost have a fast break when you make a basket.
Collison turnaround, tipped around, and Holden has it for the Terrapins.
Heinrich not blocked out on that play. A good position for an offensive rebound. Holden likes that shot.
Gooden sweeps for the board.
Here they come.
Heinrich with a 3, and Maryland faces its biggest deficit of the tournament.
Gary Williams wisely calls a timeout. His team has not met the test in their half-court offense.
The biggest deficit prior to this was 6 to Kentucky. They're down 8 early to the Jayhawks.
Get into overdrive with the 2002 Saturn L200. Just $202 due and $265 a month. Visit your nearest Saturn retailer today.
This is something you seldom see. Kansas's road to the Final Four. Billy, they had to play the highest possible seed in each game. 16-8 of 4, and then the 2 in the final, which was Oregon.
Jim, that's why I say nobody ever gets to the championship game worrying about who they're going to play in the next one.
Juan Dixon with the 3.
And there, inside position, Kansas getting every rebound.
Collison before they could even turn around.
Foul.
And the foul is out near the free throw line, says Timmy Huggins.
I think it's going to be before the shot, so there will not be any foul shots taken.
It's called on Mouton. They asked Roy Williams yesterday, Roy, how badly do you want to win a championship? Your third Final Four, he said, about as badly as I want to breathe.
Well, we did see a man who's here to root him on. Good backdoor cut by Miles. No place to go.
Gooden chases it down and saves it to Boshi with the 3.
Kansas beating Maryland to every loose ball.
Boshi makes it an 11-point lead.
And with Baxter on the bench with those 2 fouls, Maryland already does not have their low post game. There's Collison on a foolish foul out front on Holden.
Drew Nicholas will come in for Maryland after this timeout. The Jayhawks jump on the Terps early.
Road game, huh? I just love road games. No distractions, just you against the world. It's an opportunity to prove yourself, to show everyone out there you can win no matter what.
It's just a sales call.
Son, there's no such thing as just a sales call.
When you're on the road, count on Fairfield Inn's inviting affordable rooms.
Son, you need a fight song.
Yeah, fight song. Great coach, great.
Road game, huh?
Now make 3 stays and earn 2 free nights. Call 1-888-MARRIOTT today. Fairfield Inn. Your Marriott awaits.
It has over 20 million customers nationwide. Works with nearly half the Fortune 1000 and provides the wireless network for BlackBerry and Palm. Bet you didn't know who's so big in business. Singular Wireless. What do you have to say?
Introducing the Isuzu Axiom. It says sexy city styling. It has a V6 with 230 horses. Giddy up. Leather trim seats, smooth and supple. Plenty of cargo space, too. And America's longest and sexiest warranty. The Isuzu Axiom. You want one, don't you?
Now get 0% financing for up to 5 years or $3,000 cash back.
Tonight on Robo Bash, we got 5-time world champion and Victor. And in this corner, Mini Fridge.
Todd, what is it?
It's a Bud Light.
Lock on.
With a great taste that won't fill you up and never let you down. Make it a Bud Light.
Oh, no mercy!
If you've seen one show this year about a talking baby, make it Baby Bob.
Hey, what can I say? It was the role I was born to play.
The smash hit comedy Baby Bob, CBS Monday.
Armor Battalion back in Atlanta. Kansas certainly seems to be taking Roy Williams' message in the locker room to heart. He said because of all the distractions and all the people in the stands, the magnitude of the moment, they had to lose themselves in the game, which they're doing. Bonnie?
Gary Williams already frustrated with the Terps rebounding. He said one of the reasons why Kansas is so good at it, Collison and Gooden really chase after the ball. All too often, we just accept what comes off the rim. We have to be more aggressive on that end tonight, Jim.
Thank you, Bonnie. Wayne Simeon is in. Wilcox on the dunk and taking advantage of that substitution. Collison went out. They beat him on the inbounds. The freshman just had to back up and yield to Wilcox. And a steal here. Simeon throws it to Dixon. But right back come the Hawks. On the wing, Boshi. Boy, they're moving quickly.
They really are. We're seeing, oh, what another great block by Wilcox.
He has 3 already. Dixon pull up 3. Well, he thought he made it. It was right
on the mark. But you have to get back on defense when you play Kansas. They will push the ball in every situation. Their delayed break is really excellent. Jim, we've seen so many breakdowns in the NCAA tournament in out-of-bounds situations. Just time and time again, the players are not seeing the area of the court that they have to cover as well as the man passing the ball in bounds, and that's what's causing them problems. Now we have that bench from Kansas deployed on the floor. Simeon and Langford. And a great move, I think, by Roy Williams to take Collison out of the game with Baxter on the bench with 2.
Charge on Heinrich. Blake had set coming out of that break and then checked right back in. He draws the charge. And Dixon with a short break also returns.
How many guys come down on the break and do not pull up at the foul line to get the good angle on that pass? The farther you go down in there, you better have an open lane for the layup, because you take it beyond the foul line and you're almost invariably going to charge. Now, I was talking about this substitution. You say, well, Collison's not in foul trouble. But if you're Roy Williams, you want to steal some minutes here with a man that played very effectively early while Baxter's sitting down with 2. Dunk.
Over the top to Gooden. And a foul on, I believe, Simeon.
I think it might be Gooden.
Yep, it is Gooden.
Wilcox first, making himself available. The young man, as you said, Jim, in 1 year's time, really had his coming out party this year when Maryland actually destroyed Duke up at their place, and he was just a handful. And this is another area where he's improved himself. The free throw shooter.
Speak of Duke, and we all remember last year it was Maryland and Duke in the semifinals here in Minneapolis, Final Four, and Duke came back from 22 down to win that game. And Gary Williams was telling us, hopefully it makes you even better having gone through something like that. Langford, they faced an early 11-point deficit, working it the other way this year.
Now Maryland trying to return the favor by getting down on the break themselves. Good screen by Holden.
Dixon.
The screen was as important as the shot. Just a great job, and Dixon, as we know, loves to run that baseline, and with that wide body of Holden, it's impossible to get to him.
Three-pointer cuts it to 5. 6-0 run here by the Terps. Boshi.
Push off. Simeon on the push off. Good block out by Holden.
Kansas in its 11th Final Four with 2 titles. 1952, they celebrated that 50-year anniversary of that team that included Dean Smith on the 52 champs. And, of course, the 88 Danny Manning and the Miracle team.
Dean Smith, one of 2 to play and to coach a national championship team. Bob Knight, the other.
Ryan Randall in for the Terps, number 33.
There, Langford, Dixon. See if Dixon tried to take advantage of the freshman. He does.
Langford's coming off his biggest game of his freshman year, that in the regional final when he put up 20 against Oregon. Collison right back in, Billy.
He was 6 for 7 in that game, Jim. That's really saying something, but that was a track meet. Kansas just destroying Oregon off the boards.
Drew Nicholas, and he's a shooter, but not this time. Off Randall, Kansas ball.
And here's why we see Maryland so effective. Even with Baxter on the bench, Randall and Holden are 2 fine players. Now Collison back in there. Roy Williams got some minutes. He can put him back in the game now and see how effective he can be offensively. Matter of fact, if Collison had made that one very foolish foul, there's Dixon on his patented steals.
And he's going to have the easy lay-in.
Number 1 steal man at his university and in the ACC, and very seldom does it against your dribble. He does it with incredible anticipation.
And again, the second part of that, what makes it so fascinating, is the number of times he fouled out in his career. Collison.
Absolutely, a foul-out ratio of 0 in 108 games. Can you imagine that?
A guy that makes that many thefts is not reaching in.
Blake again has got a chance to shoot and doesn't take it.
Nicholas, three-pointer.
Good blocking out by Collison. Randall doesn't try to go around him. Some pace in this game. Simeon down there on Randall. Good low post score.
Simeon hits the shot. The freshman, homegrown from Leavenworth, Kansas.
With that hyperextended knee, gave him problems. He had that knee injury November the 15th. Came back his first game against Wake Forest. 10 points, 11 rebounds, showed that he was going to be an important factor for this team.
Dixon keeping Maryland close.
I don't know if Langford can stay with Dixon.
Dixon with 8 of Maryland's 13. Heinrich, spin move, and he'll head to the line.
Heinrich, you talk about guys that have come onto the scene. Now, Jim, we saw him in the NCAA tournament down in Winston-Salem in his freshman year play a great game against Duke University. He leveled off a little bit, but really this year he has come on, not only first team all Big 12, but has put himself in a position you have to say there are not many guards in the country any better.
Heinrich will shoot one more. Originally committed to Iowa State out of Sioux City, Iowa, did Heinrich. But once Tim Floyd left the program, he went back and reworked that decision, and it came down to either Kansas or Oklahoma. And was co-Mr. Basketball in the state of Iowa his last year with Nick Collison.
Not a bad teammate.
Yeah. 18-13 Hawks.
Give it back. Quit it.
Is there a problem, Davy?
Well, Dad, there was only one dew left. Tommy said it was his. I said it was mine, and we began to fight, and it was wrong. We're sorry.
Boys, why don't you give me the Mountain Dew? Ooh, ooh, ooh. Now let that be a lesson to you.
What just happened here? We got hosed, Tommy. We got hosed.
Oh, Davy.
Introducing the 160 horsepower Civic SI from Honda. You'll know it when you see it.
At Michelin, our tires are rigorously tested. They're laser checked, X-rayed for structural integrity. And finally, no tire leaves the factory without a thorough hand inspection. Michelin, because so much is riding on your tires.
Gonna knock over a bank with a magic marker?
They're America's favorite bank robbers. Bruce Willis, Billy Bob Thornton, and Kate Blanchett. Bandits. Directed by Barry Levinson. Rated PG-13. Rental buy it Tuesday.
Why do I rent from Enterprise? For more cargo room. More people room. Or more headroom. Enterprise. So easy, it's like having a second car. Or third.
Pick Enterprise. We'll pick you up.
It's a big April on The Late Show when Dave welcomes Sandra Bullock, Michael J. Fox, Survivor Castaway, Charles Barkley, Sheryl Crow, and Cameron Diaz. And Monday, don't miss Marv Albert Sports Bloopers.
Kansas in front by 5. And Billy, here's the Mountain Dew eye vision.
Well, here's what I want you to see right here. Watch where the screen becomes as important as the shot. We're going to see Langford get caught right over here trying to get the screen. Dixon with a fake in, jumps back, and watch what happens as he tries to go for the curl. There is a screen that ties up two men. Dixon makes the shot. Now watch Kansas. I want to watch it. Boom, 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 and here comes Heinrich ready to start that delayed break. You cannot relax even if you scored.
Dixon.
Oh, what a
he
shot.
has the touch tonight. You can see it early. 10 points already for Dixon.
You say tonight, Jim, when has he not had the touch? 29 against Siena, 29 Wisconsin, 19 Kentucky, 27 Connecticut. Pretty good run in the NCAA tournament.
Foul here on Maryland, on Randall. And he's off the bench with his first foul, and Mouton comes back. Nicholas out.
Mouton probably the most versatile. He can guard more different type of people than anybody on this Maryland club. He's got Langford now.
Collison finds the handle, and he sees Langford cutting down the lane. Back to Collison.
Oh, boy, what blocks inside.
And no whistles. Loose ball, and is it a tie-up?
And there is where Gary Williams got incredible help from Randall. He just kept flailing around on the inside. He really doesn't get a piece of this. That probably was a foul not called. Here's Randall again, and there's Wilcox always up there. But look at Randall just with that body flailing all over.
Mouton around the leg. It was a tie-up, and the arrow ball remains with Kansas. Kansas, big rebounding edge here at the start.
Not unexpected. Collison on the quicker Wilcox, doing a better job blocking out.
Langford kicked that out to keep it alive.
Boy, Langford really does a good job going after every offensive rebound. Nobody blocking him.
Mouton led too much.
Second time Wilcox made an errant pass, trying to make a play that's not there.
Well, just a reminder that we're a little more than, well, a week away from a tradition unlike any other, the Masters on CBS, with late night coverage on the 11th and 12th, and then full coverage over the weekend on CBS.
Randall on Collison now, can afford to foul.
Gooden with 2 Terps on him. Gets the soft roll. His first basket.
Gooden started out winning the Great Alaskan Shootout MVP award as a freshman. You knew then that he was going to be an outstanding collegiate player. Has gotten stronger and has really worked on all aspects of his game. You could argue that he's been the best player in college basketball this year.
Mouton in the right spot.
And Mouton realized he better get back down court, but he doesn't get any help from his teammates getting back down, and Kansas again on the delayed break beats them.
Boschee with the jumper. 22-17 Kansas.
Poor communication, Maryland.
Wilcox with the nice flip.
He's making Gooden have to work in the defensive end of the floor now that he's matched up with him.
It was pretty dire here early for the Terrapins, Billy. Down 11 with the man who's been their outstanding player in the last 2 regionals for him on the bench with 2 fouls. Cut it back to 3. And Heinrich unable to hit from the corner.
Mouton going for the glass right now. Well, Jim, we talk about comebacks for a team. We saw Kansas a number of years ago with the biggest comeback in their history when they came back against UCLA. But Maryland's comebacks this year, they were down by 13 in the first half against Princeton. And you know the way Princeton makes it so tough to come back. And they were down 10 against Wake Forest and came back and won both of those games. So they do have the ability to do so.
Collison out, Billy, with his second. And Jeff Carey sees his first action. Senior from Camdenton, Missouri.
So now we have the 2 anchors, both on the bench with 2 fouls. Not aggressively going after the ball. Gooden beats him to it. Gary Williams stomping down at the other end of his floor, saying, what are we thinking about? This is a quick team. Would you say he puts a lot of effort into a game?
Oh. I think he's more exhausted at the end of a game than any player. And a push off here. It's going to be called against Carey of Kansas.
Tries to get to the spot, but not in time, as Holden was going to set another patented screen for Dixon. And
that's the 7th team foul, so a 1-and-1 with Nicholas replacing Blake. Taj Holden, impressive looking junior from Red Bank, New Jersey, at the line for 1-and-1.
Jim, and if there's anything about this Maryland's run in the NCAA tournament, they're shooting 85.7 from the foul line. That is the 2nd best free throw shooting in the history of the NCAA tournament. Only St. John's in 1969, where they shot 87%, has shot any better.
2 for 2 for Holden, and it's a 1-point game.
Maryland goes to a 2-1-2 full court press in the trap.
And they force the steal. Boschee reaches in, and Heinrich is off and running. Miles.
You don't see Dixon turn it over very often like that. That was a big turnover. Maryland had the numbers going in the other direction. Dixon trying to get loose on Heinrich, but Heinrich doesn't mind the contact.
Mouton. And look at Heinrich come running through.
Beat Wilcox to the ball. What Maryland's trying to do, they're trying to put Boshi down inside, let Mouton post him up.
Boshi gets the screen from Carey, and Gooden right underneath, hammered by Holden to the line for 2. I said Juan Dixon keeping him in the game here early.
Jimmy has been an amazing basketball player throughout his career. We all know about the story of him coming to school, had to redshirt his first year, only weighed about 145 pounds. You said there's no way this guy's going to be a factor for the University of Maryland. Probably not even going to be an ACC-type player. But he has become the all-time leading scorer, passing Lenny Bias this year in the school's history. 3-time ACC first-teamer. First guy at Maryland to do that since the great John Lucas.
One more for Gooden. Langford back to the lineup.
Now it's Heinrich on Dixon down the baseline. If you want to watch a guy who moves well without the ball being guarded by a guy that doesn't mind guarding someone down there, watch those two. Not a good shot.
Mouton tips, and Langford clears.
Kansas controlling the boards. Wilcox very tired right now.
Heinrich right past Dixon. Wilcox hustled to get the rebound at the other end. Nicholas gives it up. Holden, it's 2 at the line.
So many times you see a man with the ball that's not used to being the point guard, although Nicholas does have some talent. Should have passed that ball much earlier to Dixon, who was on the wing. He ended up with a bad angle, being too far down in the basket.
So the second on Kirk Heinrich. Holden will shoot 2. Gary Williams, 25 years ago, Billy, the last time the Final Four was held here in Atlanta. He came here for the NABC, the National Association of Basketball Coaches Conference. He was just an assistant coach at Lafayette.
Under Tom Davis.
I would not be a college coach. He always stresses to me how much Davis deserves a lot of the credit. He's returned a quarter century later with his alma mater at the Final Four. They're down 2 at the moment.
What would you do with a new Pontiac Vibe?
That's our vibe.
Nice.
Yeah, it's like sleeker. It's a little more like sports car-ish.
This is more than enough room for the board. We'll bungee you to the roof. I like the stainless steel in the dash.
I dig it, I have to say.
Seats fall down.
I could have definitely used this when I was moving to my apartment.
Wonder what this thing does. That's the eject button.
It's
a power outlet right there.
Give it all she's got, Captain. Meet the new Pontiac Vibe, official vehicle for the NCAA championships.
Thumb within your thumb, and that'll be your club.
Yeah, that's what I was doing.
That way you won't throw the club when your head's way up because you're looking where you're not supposed to.
Am I not supposed to look?
No. Head down. Take a swing now.
Hey, Sean. Who's that dancing with your wife?
That's Henderson. Nice pants. Very nice pants.
Dockers dress casuals. Finally, guys have an answer to the little black dress.
Brown loves the chase. Brown tells me exactly when our customers receive their shipments. Brown tracks down the names, and that lets me bill faster. Brown helps me shake the money tree. Brown makes my job kind of fun, in a dead serious sort of way.
Get paid faster. What can Brown do for you?
Is there no way to keep Israelis and Palestinians from killing each other? And if there is a way, what is it? Leslie Stahl and Ariel Sharon, Sunday on 60 Minutes.
Here's the Pontiac Vibe Skycam.
Look at the 4 Kansas players. Here's what I talk about Nicholas. He's got to get the ball over here, make Heinrich have to play somebody, and then they have an easy layup. Instead, he continues with the ball. Heinrich is able to guard 4 men by himself. All Maryland gets out of it is an opportunity to go to the line. The quick pass on the break forces the defender back there, Jim, to have to commit. And instead, Heinrich was able to play a one-man zone against 4.
Kansas has brought in for the first time Brett Ballard, senior from Hutchinson, Kansas, number 3.
Did you think that Brett would be in the first half with the score 25-23? We see the two coaches who get along very well. A lot of ACC heritage there. Of course, Roy Williams, the longtime assistant with Dean Smith at North Carolina. Gary coaching at Maryland at that time. Gary, of course, a player at Maryland. There is a leak in the roof, Jim, that could cause a problem for slippage. We remember a game that was so important this year with a court that was creating slippage. Michigan State and Virginia, and could have been a game that kept Virginia out of the NCAA tournament. Baxter sitting over there getting a long rest in this one. He's back in the ball game now. 7:44 to go in the half. He's got 2 fouls on him and has to be very, very careful.
We had a similar problem, if you'll recall, at the 96 championship game, Kentucky and Syracuse. But the situation here has been cleared.
Second time Maryland's gone to their zone trap. Dixon almost picks one off. Unusual lineup on the floor right now for Kansas.
Heinrich cuts through, and the ball tipped out to Juan Dixon.
Jump shot.
Pull up. Three-pointer.
You cannot allow, if you're Kansas, Juan Dixon to have the ball crossing half court, and nobody picked him up.
Maryland's first lead tonight after being down 11 early, 13-2.
Roy Williams has got a very funny lineup, and here's Dixon with that ability to come from the weak side. Almost gets by with a steal. Probably only Gooden's great hands prevented it.
Collison, Boschee, and Miles all back in. Holden for Maryland returns. That's the first foul on Dixon. And it's a 1-and-1 for Drew Gooden.
It is amazing the anticipation that Dixon has, Jim, as a defensive player. Thinks all the time, where can the next pass go? How can I beat it to the spot?
Drew Gooden, first-team All-America with Dixon. 25 double-doubles this year, including 18 points, 20 rebounds in the regional final win over Oregon, where he won the Midwest Outstanding Player Award. Langford keeps it alive, and Mouton outbattles for the board.
Langford really active in the offensive glass. Now Miles is going to have to guard Dixon down on the baseline. Again, a tough test for a freshman. Heinrich did such a great job down there. There he is. He's got a hard time staying with him.
Spin move and short on the jumper. Out to Langford. Miles intercepted by Holden. Mouton with Nicholas there also. Travel. You can get live team and player stats for Kansas and Maryland in the Game Center at cbs.sportsline.com or on America Online. Just enter the keyword CBS Sportsline.
Jim, that's the 4th time in this half that Maryland has given away baskets when they had the numbers, trying to go over the top with a pass instead of keeping it on the ground.
Gooden turnaround. And a battle underneath.
Holden calls a timeout as he goes to the floor, gets one.
26 all for the 2-1 seeds at the Final Four.
Fly me to the moon, let me play among the stars, and let me see what spring is like on Jupiter and Mars.
Get a powerful desktop PC without the desk. The Intel Pentium 4 Processor M, designed for notebooks.
A large part of the uniqueness of March Madness, the Cinderella, and we have one. All set now for the Monday night final. Indiana, after its 9-point win over Oklahoma today.
Jim, first time Kansas goes zone. Holden, a good shooter in there.
Speaking of good shooters, Dixon.
Holden right hand.
Takes it away. Good, rejects. They'll count the basket.
We saw Oklahoma go to zone in that first game, which gave Indiana the confidence to get good looks from the outside. Here you see Holden, who's had a very good first half, having to play a lot of minutes. How quick?
Oh, and off the hands of Gooden as Wilcox battled for that.
How quick is Wilcox to get around the All-American good low post player in Gooden and get a hand on that ball?
Randall back in. Wilcox out.
And Gary Williams, since his team got in a position to get the lead, wisely takes Baxter out of the game. Very subtle substitution moves, but I think very smart.
Blake, 3. Last touch by Maryland. Maryland becoming here the 14th, well, 14 of the last 15 years. An ACC team, at least one, in the Final Four.
All but 96. Syracuse, Mississippi State, Massachusetts, and Kentucky.
Langford, tough shot.
Boy, he is so aggressive offensively. Really going to put up some big numbers as a scorer in the Big 12. Now they stay in the zone. Kind of the point zone that Dean Smith developed at the University of North Carolina.
Nicholas, 3. Yes.
Kansas doesn't run as well out of that zone defense either.
Under 5 minutes to play in the first half. Maryland leading at 31-28. Collison has his pocket picked. 3-on-1. And Blake takes it in. Foul on Boshi.
Much better execution of the 3-on-1 break. And there you see, again, Dixon anticipating that Collison was going to use the reverse dribble, and he was waiting for it. Boy, he's a smart ball player. Just fun to watch the subtleties of his game.
Blake's tournament averages below the season average. And talking to the Maryland people this week, they'll tell you that he's been put a little bit on edge as Steve Blake, and they really felt he'd come up big here today. For people saying he hasn't had the best of tournaments. However, he has hit a couple of very critical shots that should not be diminished or shortchanged. Kentucky, and then the one that knocked out UConn last Sunday.
There again was the 2-2-1 full court press.
Boshi couldn't get a better look. Spins away from Nicholas.
Heinrich had the look, didn't take it.
Langford drives in, banks it home again.
He just knows how to score. You know, the thing interesting about that shot, too, Jim, was that the play initially by Gary Williams was not called for Blake. He called them off.
Dixon doubled up, and Langford lands on him.
Well, at least for Gary Williams, I mean, at least for in this situation, it wasn't a Collison foul. We've got Roy Williams and Gary Williams on my mind, hard keeping them straight. But
yeah, all these Williams out here on the benches. That's the 10th team foul, second on Langford. So 2 for Dixon.
Don't see that often.
No,
a 90% free throw shooter. Came into the Final Four missing only 1 free throw in the NCAA tournament in 4 games.
And before he shoots a free throw, there's a tap right there on the chest. And that's in memory of his mother, Juanita. There is a artist rendering a tattoo on his chest of his late mother, Juanita. Langford way outside.
There's Randall, and you see where Maryland has really had in Randall and Holden great help off the bench. Particularly with Baxter's production basically non-existent in this first half.
Holden, Thomason behind him. They go back outside, and that'll be 3 shots. at the line for Dixon.
You know what Dixon did on that shot, Jim? He altered his shooting stroke when he saw that Boshi was going to have a piece of the ball. He moved the ball farther over to his left. This is an amazing shot. Watch this. He's going up for his normal shot. He alters it a little bit so that he can get it onto the baseline. You notice it doesn't have the same rotation that he normally has, but that was the only way to get the shot off.
Dixon now in the tournament, 19 out of 21 at the line. He still has one more.
Well, he screamed at that one a little bit.
I talked about his late mother. It's been well documented. He lost both of his parents. There's his hero, his older brother, Phil. Yes, you're on TV, Phil, and you deserve it. He was a Division III All-America at Shenandoah University and wore number 3 and turned 1 on the basketball. He wears his brother's jersey number at Maryland. Nice move by Simeon.
Freshman to freshman. We talked about these two benches not just getting minutes, but being very productive. And here we see Kansas staying in this zone.
Inside, Wilcox. Oh, short on the lay-in.
I think he felt he was a little closer to the basket, Jim.
And that's kicked out. Reset the 35. 36-32. Terrapins lead behind Dixon, 16.
Hold the pickles, hold the lettuce. Special on us now, you know they don't upset us. You can have it your way. You got it. We can serve your flamethrower Whopper. Fresh with lettuce.
I gotta get a Whopper.
You got it.
All right. Have it your way. Have it your way. Have it your way. At BK. You got it.
Take all the time you want, folks.
We'll take this one in red.
Beautiful choice, sir.
No, black.
Black. That's actually my favorite color.
Red. Definitely red.
When software lets you quickly give customers what they want, that's one degree of separation. That's business with .NET from Microsoft.
Sky Blue, ultra premium malt beverage.
This is a new Pontiac Vibe. What do you think of it? It just stands out, yeah.
Cute. Yeah, dude, it's tight.
So what do you guys think of the inside of it?
It's iced out.
It's iced out?
Iced out. It sounds cool, man. Yeah, it sounds cool.
What is
It's a plug. You can plug in.
What? With a blender, we can make smoothies.
You want a smoothie? What do you think of that?
The little chrome, all chromed out.
What do you like about this Vibe?
There's a party in it.
Meet the new Pontiac Vibe.
Robert De Niro is the mob boss with a problem.
I got stressed.
Billy Crystal is his shrink.
You don't hear the word no very often. It's more like, no, please, no, no.
Analyze this, CBS Sunday.
Jim Nance, Billy Packer, Armand Katayan, and Bonnie Bernstein here at the Georgia Dome. A 15-5 Maryland stretch here over the last 5 minutes. What's turned it around since that quick burst by Kansas led them to an 11-point lead early?
Well, one of the things that I think that Maryland did so well, and they have had this happen all year long, they get Baxter out of the game, and in comes Holden and Randall to do a great job so that Kansas just couldn't explode on them. But both of these teams, Langford's had a good first half for Kansas as well. Both of these teams get great production off the bench.
Collison, nice move in the lane. Nick Collison was 6, coming off 25-15.
And they stay in the zone defense. Look for Dixon to try to get open. There he is.
Dixon, a 3.
They cannot stay with him in this zone.
Heinrich splits the defenders, drives it all the way for 2.
Heinrich asking for another call on the defense, but he doesn't get it. They stay right back in the zone. Dixon moving around, trying to find a hole.
Blake, three-point shot. Randall inside, put back. Wilcox up with it, yes.
Now what you're seeing is the big, strong bodies from Maryland are getting inside position, Jim, as opposed to being beaten to the spot as they were earlier in the game. What an overplay by Dixon. Wouldn't let Boshi get the ball.
And Boshi drives in, gives it up. Simeon.
Steps.
Is it steps or a foul? They've got differing opinions, and Hightower overrules. He calls it traveling.
That was a great piece of officiating there. One waiting for the other who had the better look.
Coming up, singular at the half. Greg and Clark will have the first half analysis. Plus, I can see him up there on the set. Mike Davis will join them, as well as Jared Jeffries. That's all coming up on Singular at the half.
Kansas gets out of that defense, gets back into heavy play man-to-man.
Timeout called by Nicholas with 1:10 to go, first half.
And Gary Williams saying, why pick up your dribble at that point on the floor? You'd have to agree.
Gina? You know, when I was first hired, we didn't have all these fancy integrated systems. Our sales program wasn't even linked with accounting. Warehouse platform in Chicago wasn't linked to anything, not even shipping. Back then, orders took days. Now they just take hours.
Wow, how long have you been working here?
Couple of months now.
When software quickly connects all your business systems, that's 1 degree of separation. That's business with .NET from Microsoft.
Indiana has advanced to the championship game. Maryland, Kansas. Which one will meet them Monday night? 1:10 to go in the first half. Maryland with possession and a 5-point lead. Dixon gives it up. Wilcox on the drive. Oh, he traveled first. Is that what they call it?
No,
that's a foul. A foul on Heinrich.
Boy, that was a great catch in traffic. Watch this bounce pass. A terrific catch right here. In traffic, concentrates. Great job by Wilcox. A little pick and roll.
Wilcox at the line with 1 shot.
Second. Foul is going on Gooden. So it's Gooden's foul, his second. Wilcox 3-point opportunity. Makes it 8.
And Maryland on all made free throws are staying in that zone press.
Langford hacked on the way up at the other end by Wilcox. This is now Kansas's largest tournament deficit. You know who had it on them before?
Holy Cross.
Holy Cross, you are right. 5-point Holy Cross second half lead in the first round matchup with the 16th seeded Crusaders.
That was a struggle in that game. I remember, Jim, wherever we were watching it, and Holy Cross was staying right with them. Believe they belong there.
Juan Dixon, after a brief respite, takes Nicholas's position.
Holy Cross, a team that has won a national championship back in another era.
47.
George Captain. Bob Cousy was on that team.
It was not the star.
No, he was not. George Captain was a great star on that team.
Kansas only 5 of 10 from the free throw line, and the Jayhawks are down 8. Randall jumper.
Surprising shot there.
Blake battling for it, and Blake's going to be whistled for it.
And what you have, Juan Dixon is talking to Randall and saying, young man, just give the ball over to me. I've got the hot hand right now. With 31 seconds to go, if you're Maryland, you would sure rather Randall not take that shot. Be ready to go rebound. But he's given him a fine first half, and you figure how little time Baxter has played.
2 on Blake. Langford again with a 1-and-1 after the 9th team foul.
Gooden got in there awful quick. He's got to be careful. Official is doing a fine job there warning him. Don't want to take away a point from a teammate.
Keith Langford, originally all slated to go to Ole Miss, and changed his mind signed up with Kansas. He gets 1 of 2, and the Terrapins can take the last shot.
Well, Holden's not in the game, so we won't expect to see that.
Yeah, he's done that a few times before, including last Sunday. Blake with 15. They bring it back out. Miles guarding him at 7. Inside Wilcox, and it's Kansas ball.
Got plenty of time to get a shot off as well here. Langford's going to come out of the game.
And Ballard in with 4.2 seconds.
Plenty of time with a Heinrich on the floor to go ahead and take it up the court. But he's not in the game.
No, Heinrich not on the floor. It's Ballard instead. And that ball tipped out by Mouton with 0.7 of a second. And a 7-point margin.
Gooden on a back screen. Throw the lob up at the backboard and try to draw a foul off it, but they don't go for that play.
See if they can get it to Boshi. Yes, three-pointer. Almost. 44-37 at halftime. Let's go over to Bonnie Bernstein.
Right.
This Jayhawk players who are in the building tonight rooting on the alma mater, which is trailing by 7 as we start the second half. Blake on the baseline connects with Wilcox.
Well, if you're going to try to double up out on the outside, which Kansas tried to do, it's going to leave something open if the point man beats the double team, and that's what happened.
It's the largest lead for Maryland on the night. Gooden, he has to get going in this half, and Baxter had him boxed out. Up ahead, Blake, and Gooden denied the pass.
Bad decisions again. Jim, you have a lead. Why would you take a chance to throw a pass like that has to be absolutely perfect? You've got to make Kansas play defensively.
Collison over Baxter.
Good for Kansas to go right at Baxter. He did not score in the first half. There, he's got it where he wants it.
Well, you asked for it. You got it. Lonnie Baxter's first points.
That's why that turnover was not a wise pass to try to go for the home run ball. You've got to force Collison to guard Baxter and get Baxter in the game in the second half.
Miles in traffic.
That's another foul on Baxter.
No basket.
That's his third.
The foul charged to number 35, Lonnie Baxter.
Baxter saying, come on, I can't even get going in this game. I can't even work up a sweat.
I think that Gary Williams will go with Baxter a little bit longer in this with his third to try to get him in the game and keep Holden and Randall out for a while. He's got to get his big man productive.
He's played a fraction over 4 minutes total, and he's saddled with 3 fouls. Aaron Miles will shoot one more, freshman from Portland, Oregon.
It's a big decision by Gary Williams, but I think a wise one, Jim. Leave him in the game.
2 for 2 by Miles.
You're talking about Baxter, 9 double-doubles. Most valuable player of the Eastern region.
There he is, and Collison forced the steal.
And if you are Kansas, bring the ball out and get the ball inside, make Baxter guard Collison.
That's Blake's third. So Blake and Baxter with their third.
That could get Nicholas in this game, however, because they'd like to have Blake down the line. I think he'll come out. Too late.
Inbounds. Again, they beat him on the inbounds play. Heinrich.
We have talked about this time and time again. The men are not seeing the ball in their man when they go man-to-man on out of bounds.
It's like the Terrapins were looking around to see if Nicholas could get in time. Blake on the run off the backboard. Baxter put back. Tipped up and in by Wilcox.
Jump shot.
It's there for Heinrich. He steps in instead.
That's
challenges, and that is going to... What a big call. Baxter stood in there with 3 fouls and draws the charge on Heinrich, and that's 3 on Heinrich.
Watch this. You see, Blake is not watching the man throwing the ball out of bounds, and with the 3-point situation, seeing his man and the ball. It's amazing that fellas are getting caught on out-of-bounds situations and giving up such easy baskets.
But Heinrich, Billy, the note here, that's 3 on Heinrich. Mouton, Gooden rejects. Baxter picks it up. Too strong.
Mouton aggressive.
And
Baxter gets fouled. A lot of aggressive play, Jim, underneath the backboard right now, and see if Maryland tries to keep Baxter in the game again offensively.
Well, Gooden has 3. So concerns on the Kansas end as well with the Jayhawks star player. And Heinrich with 3. So they've got a couple of situations, as does Maryland with Blake and Baxter.
Good backdoor cut.
Nicholas blocked Collison. Kansas sprints out of there. Heinrich with Dixon knocking it out of bounds with the quick hands.
He is amazing how he comes across. See a lot of foul trouble right there. And Gary Williams gets Blake out because he wants him down the stretch as a ball handler. And now Gary Williams figures Baxter has a little feel of the game. Brings in Holden. Miles doesn't want the jump shot, would rather penetrate off the dribble.
Collison backing him in. Good move with the body. Backed in Holden.
Collison really has to be aware defensively now not to get in further foul trouble, because I think he can really score against this Maryland team.
He has scored 10 on the night. And look at Wilcox backing in. With Gooden with 3, he couldn't really stop him.
That was a dangerous play for Gooden.
To the corner, Heinrich. No travel. Well, there it is.
One extra pass, Jim. Tough in that kind of close quarters.
Monday on CBS, you can catch an all-new Late Show with David Letterman. All-new top 10 list. Monday, the Emmy Award-winning Late Show with Dave.
Wilcox expending an awful lot of energy in this game.
Maryland's missed its last 5 shots, but now Dixon. That makes it 6. Last touch by Kansas. Simeon for Gooden. Gooden out with the 3.
Roy Williams really was fortunate that Gooden did not pick up that foul on Wilcox when Wilcox had the good move on the baseline.
Gooden's been taken out of his game here. 4.6 rebounds. Only 1 shot made from the field. 1 of 6. Dixon. Oh, he has such body control.
Beautiful leaner.
Miles.
One thing Maryland's doing is they're taking away that delayed break that Kansas is so good at, what made them the #1 scoring team in the country.
Boschee, big 3. Got it. Jeff Boschee, the all-time three-point shooter in Kansas and Big 12 history.
It's amazing how that 3 can put you back in it.
Nicholas and Kansas.
Nice block out by Collison.
Gets the ball back quickly. A little spurt perhaps. Miles, foot on the line. And over the back, called on Wilcox.
Holden had excellent position, but Simeon is so strong that he was able to go right up between the 2.
21 for Dixon to lead the way. It's a 4-point Maryland lead.
I have something to tell you.
You first.
No, you go.
I'm not ready to get married.
Okay.
So, what was your news?
I won the lottery.
$63 million.
Think about it this way, man. After taxes, that's only like $28-30 million.
That's it. Yeah.
Life is best told over a great tasting Miller Lite at a place called Miller Time.
Shannon? Hey, it's Steve. What's going on?
is proud to sponsor youth hockey. And for when they get thirsty, I've provided plenty of 7-Up because I care about the kids. 7-Up is now proud to sponsor youth swimming. Kick those legs, Tommy.
Who wears white after Labor Day? Who wears white after Labor Day?
Well, that was once considered a fashion faux pas. Now you can wear white any time of the year.
Want expert advice whenever you need it? Come to Office Depot, where our people listen, understand, and help.
How can I get organized?
With the new generation of handhelds, you can manage multiple... It'd be nice if everything was like that. Office Depot. What you need to know.
So you sure this is okay? What if someone calls?
What if someone calls?
Sometimes you feel like being dependable. Sometimes you just want to go for a drive. Chevy Impala.
I'll be there.
Jerky?
When you look through the eyes of a killer,
He's got a peephole into every room.
there's no telling what you'll see.
Officer down.
CSI Thursday. Don't watch it alone.
Jim Nance with Billy Packer back here at the Georgia Dome, and pretty emotional night on Thursday, Billy, when the four coaches were brought together, and Gary Williams, I think, really showed a side that few had seen, and everyone was really touched by his comments that night about how much it meant to him to have his daughter and grandson here at the Final Four.
There's Collison again with great low post moves inside. A great move by Roy Williams to get the ball to the horse. Baxter, a no factor in this game. Big advantage, Kansas.
Cuts it to 2. Left open, Randall. And a chance for the three-point play.
A switch inside that does not work out for Kansas. Collison and Simeon not realizing that they had left Randall wide open.
Second on the freshman Simeon. Ryan Randall. I asked Gary Williams yesterday, tell me a player a day in advance you think might end up being your star tomorrow. The guy that makes a difference. And he said he thought Ryan Randall. He's had productive minutes. And the Maryland Terrapins break out of there. Mouton.
Good pull up, but again, Maryland does not convert when they have the numbers. Kansas doing a much better job on it.
Holden on the back of Collison.
I really get the feeling with Baxter out of the ball game and no factor because of foul trouble that a huge advantage is Collison. And if Kansas will just take time to get him the ball down in low, they have a chance to really maneuver here.
Second on Holden. 4th team foul in the second half. Heinrich and Nicholas got him with the body.
Heinrich is very good as a slashing guard. You can tell by his stats, Jim. Went to the line 102 times this year. Has a nice blend of his outside three-point shot and getting to the foul line as well. Now let's see if Maryland does a better job in the out-of-bounds situation, seeing the ball. Boy, if the pass had been made,
Boshi was there, wasn't he?
Had a layup.
And that's 3 fouls on Maryland on this trip down the floor for Kansas.
Blake is going to come back in the game, so Gary Williams is going to go with a lineup now with basically his 3 guards and his 2 substitute big men on the floor. He is really trying to steal some minutes.
Second on Dixon, 16 fouls, so the next one's the bonus.
Good screening down and low, but Blake with the steal.
Blake with the steal and the 4-point lead for Maryland. And Simeon spikes it out of bounds.
Well, see, there would be a case, Jim, where Baxter would understand he's supposed to set a screen inside. Holden pulled away from Simeon. He should have been down in there screening.
Nicholas, another example of what you're talking about, Billy.
Out of bounds situations, poorly defended by both teams.
Kick by Holden, reset.
Time and time again, players not seeing the ball in their man. That time, Nicholas was able to weasel right inside. These are easy layups.
Gooden comes back, so does Miles. And Wilcox for Holden on Maryland's side.
About a 2.5-minute break for Wilcox, who was expending so much energy. Gary Williams had to yank him out of there. And on the other end, Roy Williams had to get Gooden out because he had the 3 and didn't want him to pick up the 4th. So different reasons for substituting, but both well done by the coaches. Langford's got to get aggressive and look to score again like he did in the first half.
There he is, Langford. And Blake outbattles everyone with a loose ball. And he drives in, sets it up, Nicholas.
Good kick out, wide open look. You got to take a shot like that.
Simeon underneath. Doesn't seem like anything's being set up in Gooden's direction. Nicholas lost control of it. Simeon looking for a ball handler. Jayhawks have some numbers. Langford in traffic, and it's going to be on Wilcox. Monday on CBS, when Baby Bob speaks, America listens. You can catch the smash hit comedy that everybody's talking about. Don't miss an all-new Baby Bob after a special Everybody Loves Raymond on CBS.
Gary Williams pleading his case down on the other end of the floor. Felt there was a foul on the play, didn't get the call.
With 2 shots.
It's a 3rd foul on Wilcox, so Langford will shoot 2.
This is a freshman that has really come on the scene for Kansas, and as I said earlier, is going to be a prominent player in the Big 12 in years to come. In every area, young man is solid on the offensive end of the floor.
He's wearing his lucky Texas Rangers socks that are tattered and hole torn, and he's going to wear them, he hopes, for 2 more games.
Well, he was all Midwest regional, so showed that he belongs with the elite.
And Texas kid, and he goes out. There he sits on the bench.
Picked all reserve team in the Big 12. He will not be a reserve next year.
Blake with the jumper. Oh, what a tip in.
Sensational leaping by Wilcox.
Now Gooden looking for something to happen. As it jarred loose by Blake. Boy, Dixon showing signs of really getting after it on defense.
Baxter with the good hands.
Baxter gets past. Gooden went for the steal.
Over Collison, pass.
And a
Gooden
timeout.
And a timeout. Beautiful play on that pass. It had to be perfect, and it was. Jim, here is a play that not many guys in the college level can make. Watch Wilcox. Unbelievable tap over a good player.
High vision look here, Billy, at the tip by Wilcox.
An excellent screen just to get the play going, and we'll see right here the ball goes up, but watch Wilcox come from nowhere and tap that ball, keeping it alive. It was tough enough.
Wilcox was 16. And Maryland with the 8-point lead.
And they go zone, trying to protect Baxter a little bit. Where does the jump shot coming from? Bushi? There it is.
You called it. 3-pointer rattles home.
Interesting. Gary Williams goes to the zone. We have not seen effective zone playing by any team tonight. The matchup by Oklahoma got them in trouble. And there it gives an open shot to the #1 3-point shooter in the history of the Big 12.
He's hit 3 in this game, and Blake answers it at the other end.
Now let's see if Maryland stays in the zone. They do. Wilcox out of the game. They're trying to give him a rest right now. Has expended a lot of energy on the defensive end of the floor.
That 3 was Blake's first field goal of the night. In the lane, Collison wildly with the left hand, and it's Maryland ball. Dixon's only had 2 attempts this half, but his 21 leads the way for Maryland.
21 points, powering Maryland's 8-point lead over Kansas. And Gary Williams making particular note of Dixon's heightened level of intensity in practice this week. He said, our B squad was beating the starters in 5-on-5, and Dixon got up and went ballistic and told everybody to step up. Williams said Dixon has a higher level of confidence. He believes he can take this team to a championship. Jim?
Well, he certainly led the way. Here he is with 2 more.
Set play by Maryland, beautifully diagrammed by Gary Williams. You notice how Baxter pulled out to the outside, a curl move for Dixon. Well run.
Maryland has a 10-point lead for the first time.
They're packing that zone back in there. There should be a jump shot for Kansas.
Instead, they try to jam it inside to Collison, and Nicholas and Dixon were battling for it.
See a set play. What happened is Baxter pulled out, allowed the top of the key to be wide open for Dixon, and he moves so well without the ball.
That was a...
Nobody in college basketball moves as well without the ball as a guard as Juan Dixon.
And he gets spelled by Mouton. That was a tie-up situation, and the arrow to Kansas. Good and quick jumper.
Wow, what a rebound. Baxter move Heinrich right out of the way. Beautiful pass.
And Holden and 1.
Now there is a case, Jim. Kansas, a team that loves to run the quick break off a miss, gets some of their own treatment by a Maryland team that gets down the court beautifully.
And it's the 4th on Gooden. It has been a monumental struggle tonight for the Big 12 Player of the Year. Made only 1 of 7 from the field. And to the bench with 4.
And now you have a situation where Maryland's getting a chance to rest Wilcox and Dixon with this kind of lead to have them really fresh for the final 7 minutes.
That's the biggest lead of the night on either side. 13 for the Terps. In the midst of a 12-3 run. And a foul on Heinrich.
Setting a solid screen. Langford does not want the jump shot as opposed to the penetration, and not taking what's available.
That's his 4th. 2 Kansas starters with 4, and they're going to check him out.
We're talking about, Jim, 2 All-American caliber players with 4 fouls that have meant so much to the great run this team has had. First team in Big 12 history to go 16-0 regular season. And they were the reason.
Holden off balance, and what a stretch here for Taj Holden.
Maryland getting incredible production out of their big bench.
Collison.
Beautiful touch.
One of the few bright spots for Kansas at the moment. 7 out of 11 from the field. 14 points, 7 rebounds.
Blake really looking to penetrate off that dribble.
Finds Mouton. Boy, that is just great teamwork there.
Well, what made that again is Baxter coming out from the inside, setting up the lane for the backdoor cut. Second time he has done that in the last 4 possessions. Collison wants the ball inside.
And he gets it for 2 more.
You notice they're not calling that foul when a man's going up in the air, so no sense trying to draw that charge and flop.
You feel like that's almost every time available.
Yes, I do. They're playing a zone. They're playing it to stop the jump shots, so the inside is open. Hold on the inside. Roy Williams looking so intently, and there it is. You see what happened? Simeon is going out to get Baxter. When he did, Jim, there was no help inside. It's very well-defined play by Maryland. Baxter's going to sit down. It's amazing how Gary Williams has been able to get production both offensively and with minutes. Another inbounds pass.
Wilcox. And tipped in by Holden. who is taking over here the last 2 minutes. A 7-point stretch by Holden alone. Boshi.
Holden is playing like Baxter.
Yes.
And it was a good job by Wilcox just to get that off. Look at, just as we saw Wilcox with an incredible tap, Holden stretched out, puts that back in.
It's getting to be rather desperate now for the Hawks with 8:38 remaining, down 15 and a turnover.
Maryland has not done a good job with numbers tonight.
Nicholas could have been a backbreaker.
Langford with a push.
Thursday on CBS, the investigators of CSI will look through the eyes of a peeping Tom turned killer, and you won't believe what they see. Don't miss TV's most watched show, an all-new CSI crime scene investigation Thursday on CBS. Third foul on Langford.
Boy, it looks like a lineup right there, doesn't it, Jim? Everybody in a little bit of foul trouble, but Maryland with that great flexibility, and Holden gave them that flexibility tonight, coming in off that bench as a big man.
Byron Mouton.
Another Louisiana product. The Final Four has been well represented by the state of Louisiana with players.
Well, Donald Perry and Kyle Hornsby from Indiana, from Louisiana, are going to be there for the championship Monday night.
Only one three-point shooter on the floor right now against this zone.
Miles 3.
Wilcox not getting that rebound. Where is the scoring going to come from? They don't have guys that want to shoot the outside shot.
Collison in the right spot. No shot, says Timmy Huggins. Outside.
I think when you're down this much, if you're Roy Williams, you have got to come back in, Jim. Even at the 8-minute mark and guys in foul trouble, you have got to come back with offensive firepower. You can't take the chance that you're going to get this lead back when you only have one outside shooter on the floor at this time.
Big ovation for Holden, who goes out along with Nicholas, and just another Maryland wave of manpower comes back with Baxter and Dixon. 1-1. Collison with one more. And there's Gooden. How long will he ride with the 4 fouls?
I think you've got to come in with him right away.
He's been out since the 10:39 mark.
Heinrich as well.
2 for 2 Collison. 8 minutes remaining. Inside Wilcox.
And there is a case where Collison, Jim, is going to go out for a double team against the #1 assist man in the United States. He's 15 feet away. Not a gamble you can make. Again, where does the scoring come against this zone with Gooden and Heinrich on the floor?
Carey, and that's a clean block.
In the first half, Maryland blocked 7 shots. This year in one game, they blocked 15 against Norfolk State, the #1 shot blocking team in the ACC.
Wilcox hammers it home. We are back on the floor for Kansas. Gooden and Heinrich. And Billy, how is it possible to come back from 17 down against a team like Maryland with 7.5 minutes to go?
But Duke was down 22. They had a lot more time to work with, didn't they?
Yeah, Duke had them 22.
No, I'm talking about.
Oh, you're talking about that one. Okay, yeah. And Gooden with the easy basket. That's his first field goal, Billy, since about the 11-minute mark in the first half.
Here come the traps by Kansas. Blake pretty shifty out there and uses that pullback dribble of his to see the court.
Dixon from the corner. Boshi's open. He'll shoot it.
And if you're Maryland, you want to keep right on pushing this ball up the floor. A lot of time left in this game.
Mouton with the 10-footer.
You want to force Kansas to have to go ahead and play defense all over the floor, try to wear them down. Maryland stays in the zone.
And Gooden.
No numbers. Blake should pull it back. Good, smart play there.
Juan Dixon, yes. 20-point lead for the Terrapins.
We see a little change in the look of the Kansas players right now, Jim. That was like a dagger.
CBS Sports Line stat of the game. Points in the paint. And a whole combination of Terrapins with the 42, like Taj Holden. You can get complete tournament coverage at cbs.sportsline.com or on America Online under the keyword CBS Sports Line. Langford at the line, 1-1. You know, I had a chance yesterday to visit with Roy Williams, and he really had made a point several times, and you were in his company too on Thursday night, when he talked about how he wanted to approach it differently, his players to have a experience at the Final Four.
Good hustle by Langford.
You know, I think coaches really grapple with exactly how they're supposed to handle all of this.
You know what the problem is, Jim? When you think so much about that, there is no formula. You've seen everything. Hey, Al McGuire's Final Four here, he never even was around his team, you know, so you say, oh, that's the formula that works. I just think you have to do what you're comfortable with. Eventually that night will come if it's in the cards for you to win a national championship. The other thing this zone is doing, taking some time off the clock to get a shot.
But they need Bochy. He's had 2 good looks. Gooden put back in 1. Okay.
And if you're Maryland, one of the things you do not want to do is to put them on the line.
Thursday on an all-new Survivor. Don't miss a competition filled with excitement and split-second timing and a little controversy. The #1 reality series on an all-new Survivor Thursday here on CBS.
And here is Holden coming back in the game. Wilcox. I think Gary Williams just wanting to keep him really rested for that last 3 minutes.
And he's got 4 fouls as well.
Yep, and he has probably extended more energy than I've seen in any game that he's played. Heinrich, remember, has 4 fouls. He's got to be really careful reaching on Blake.
Blake, where he made his other one.
Not the shot you want. You want to use some time on the clock if you're Maryland.
Bochy pull up 2. Slides off the rim. Nicholas saves it for the Terrapins.
And Kansas drops back. I think they've got to come out and do some pressure right here, even if it extends the Maryland lead. Holding by Langford.
Juan Dixon had 19 at halftime. This is the action in the second half. Got 7 in this half.
There was the leaner, then the curl, then the kick out for the jump shot. Not much that he doesn't have in his arsenal, Jim.
3 minutes of action in the first half. We saw him there. He was pointing at his brother. We showed you his brother Phil Dixon. There he is. Hey, look. His idol. One more for Dixon. I love the award Dick Enberg gave out earlier today, the Class Award. As he touches that chest again, it's a ritual for him. The first Senior Class Award winner, Juan Dixon. Dan Dickow was second, Steve Logan third, and Kansas City Club will be giving that award away in April.
Kansas, Jim, excuse me, if you're Kansas, you have got to think about getting some shots up a little quicker and really pounding the glass.
Miles. And that was tipped out by Collison.
You can see the lack of determination right now in the Kansas players. They're very dejected. Still a lot of time to go in this game. The lead may be insurmountable, but this team needs to hang in here. Here they go with the trap. Blake with a pullback dribble. Denies it.
It's a Kansas team that lost only 3 times all year. 33-3. Ball State, UCLA, and Oklahoma. Oklahoma also beat Maryland this year.
Dixon is saying, I have no foul there. Well, he has been kind of like the stern leader of this team, hasn't he? Really focused that the Final Four is all that I'm interested in.
And that foul called on Holden. Well, we see that, Billy, so many times at the Final Four. A senior whether it's last year Shane Battier or the year before
Cleaves.
that Mateen Cleaves.
Yeah, they have that steely look in their eyes, and just like, I am going to make sure that we advance.
4th foul on Baxter. And the year before that, 99, how about Ricky Moore? So
Absolutely.
senior didn't expect to step up like that. Jeff Shepard in 98.
It doesn't necessarily have to be your best player either to set that definition of how a team is going to play. Of course, Kansas had one with a steely look by the name of Danny Manning that not only had the look, but put up the incredible numbers to lead the team to the national championship in '88.
The look and the game, too.
Absolutely.
Well, we thought, with the way the Big 12 has performed all season long, and 2 of the 4 slots here could possibly be the '88 rematch of Kansas-Oklahoma. But the Big 12 is on the brink of elimination here in one day.
That's it for Heinrich, and you knew that was going to take place. He was trying to hand check outside on Blake. That will be his 5th, right?
Indeed. That's it for Kirk Heinrich.
It's a big loss for this Kansas team because he does have the outside shot and is a good defender on the perimeter.
There's his mother, Nancy, family from Sioux City, Iowa. His father, Jim, was his high school coach. There's Jim. He's still the coach there at Sioux City West.
Have a situation now with Blake's ability to handle the ball, and Gary Williams, I think, with masterful substitution in this game, Jim, when he had everything going against him early in this ball game. Baxter with the 2 fouls right away. Had to go to that bench early. He's been able to rest the likes of Wilcox. Now Mouton on the bench. Dixon gave him a light blow as well. And Maryland has been content to stay in this zone. Dixon is looking to pick off a pass on the perimeter.
Gooden will take the 3. Yes.
Nice.
And that cuts it to 14, just under 4 minutes to play. Biggest deficit was 20. Maryland 85-71. 4th on Blake. Talking about Maryland's inside dominance, and that's without huge numbers by Baxter, because Wilcox has been so stellar, so too has Holden.
And you see, Jim, what's going to happen right now. Gary Williams going to come back with his experience. Baxter and Mouton coming in, probably Holden and Randall going out. But that was a big, big turnover by Blake.
Mouton and Baxter.
Mouton and Baxter back in.
Blake is going to sit down. Gary Williams is going to let him just have a little rest, maybe trying to do too much.
And Miles hits 2, the National High School Academic Athlete of the Year award winner last year, the Morgan Wooten Award. And he brings it down to 12. Let's not advance the brackets quite yet here in Atlanta. Maryland with the arrow and with possession, up 12, 3:37 remaining.
Blake on the bench. A nice play there because nobody was guarding the man taking the ball out of bounds. Now Nicholas on Miles and having problems.
Uh-oh, Miles again forces the steal.
And another foul. The clock is stopped. Blake is going to have to come back in the game. I'm really surprised that they're challenging Miles. With Heinrich out of the game, who's the best defender they have on the ball, Miles becomes number 2. And with Blake out of the game, Nicholas not used to dribbling the ball back in that area. Good play by Kansas. Jim, this game has got a long way to go.
Miles about a 79% shooter at the line, coming off of 2 makes.
And what's so important here, too, is if you can make the free throws, you've got that defense against the out-of-bounds situation, which Maryland's had trouble with. Here comes Blake back into the game.
Steve Blake.
Miles showing good quickness with his feet, not reaching in till the last moment.
Some wet spots on the floor being addressed.
That's where Bushi fell down on the floor, coming down the floor, Jim, and kind of sprawled around out there. And look for the full court pressure now by Kansas. They did not guard the man taking the ball out of bounds the last time.
They cut the 20-point deficit in half in a 2.5-minute stretch. Blake back in there with 4 fouls.
I tell you, Miles is really moving those feet, making every dribble tough.
Blake has to take the open shot.
That's a push by Baxter, and again, Maryland is stopping the clock and allowing Kansas to score.
That will foul out Baxter.
Maryland has gotten, Jim, completely out of running their half-court offense. They're acting as if this game is a pressure situation. They should pull it out. They should have gone back into their half-court offense, getting the ball down and low to Baxter, and make Kansas play a little defense.
Bonnie's mother, Edna Hughes, he grew up only 10 minutes away from the College Park campus in Silver Springs, Maryland, and the senior goes to the bench.
So now we have Heinrich on the bench and Baxter on the bench, 2 of the key players.
Gary Williams wants a timeout. Wilcox will be replacing Baxter in the lineup. Kansas at the line when we come back. Bonnie Bernstein, Armin Katayan, and Kansas can cut into it a little bit more here, Billy. How about some strategy here?
And Jim, not only can they cut into it, but they're able to go ahead and put points on the board with a clock stopped, and that's something that's got to be driving Gary Williams absolutely crazy. And I think if you're Gary during that timeout, you've got to say to your team, hey, let's get back to playing regular basketball and not, in effect, when you get the ball over half court, think we're being pressed. Now Baxter out of the game. Wilcox back in there. You still have, with the exception of Baxter, the regular starting lineup. Made free throw allows once again for the full court pressure. Dixon wants the ball. This is a good move here by Maryland, because Langford not as good at guarding the man out in this open court area, and you want to get Dixon on the foul line with a cheap foul here.
3 minutes remaining. 9-point game. Maryland's gone over 3 minutes without a field goal, and they fail again on this trip.
There's another
Miles
foul.
is heading to the line, and that's on Holden.
Gary Williams has got to be going crazy because they are stopping the clock with their own ineptness on defense.
That's 4 on Holden, 4 on Blake, 4 on Wilcox.
Now, see, there's no need right here if you're Holden to try to go for a steal against a quicker man and you're from behind. Even if they get the ball down the court, 20 seconds is critical.
Gary Williams is beside himself.
And should be.
And Miles at the line. He has been really solid here down the stretch. Not that time. Former quarterback at Jefferson High back in Portland. Played 2 sports, and we've got 2 players out, 1 on each side, but 3 Terrapins.
Jim, I think if you're Maryland, you should get the ball in Dixon's hands, not Blake's.
That's going to be a foul on Miles. To send Blake to the other end on the whole double bonus.
And the reason I say that is you can use Blake to come back to the ball after you've gotten it over half court. Blake seems to be not quite sure what he wants to do with the ball when he gets it into his half-court area. Dixon, with his experience, would have a much better idea, and if he gets fouled, you put one of the best free throw shooters in the country on the line.
Second half free throws in the tournament by Maryland. Look at that, 48 of 52. Roy Williams, and right behind him there is assistant coach Neil Doherty, just named on Monday the new coach at TCU after 7 seasons as an assistant to Roy, recruited to Army by Mike Krzyzewski.
And we'll be taking, there's a missed shot right there by Maryland. You talked about how well they were shooting free throws.
Take Billy Tubbs' spot. Miles with the 3. Big shot. Tipped up. Collison had a hand on it. Kansas ball.
Billy Tubbs, I understand, may go back to Oklahoma, Jim, as the TV announcer. I didn't want to throw big news at you.
I think he would have something interesting to say.
Oh, I bet he would.
9-point game, 2.5. Collison banks it home. A chippy.
Again, you see that the flop is not being called at all tonight. I'm surprised Dixon didn't take Gooden.
Ooh. Miles again.
Collison, who's had an excellent night, and you can see once again that the officials are not calling that flop. No sense doing it. You might as well hang in there and play solid defense.
21 for Collison, 15 in the second half. Like Heinrich, coached in high school by his father at Iowa Falls High School. They were 101-1. Look at this, another miss.
Well, what brought Maryland to this position was their incredible free throw shooting. As I said, next to St. John's in '69, they had the best free throw shooting ever in the NCAA tournament.
At the 6:06 mark, this was 83-63. 1 of 2 for Blake. Little 3 here, and oxygen will be in short supply in Atlanta.
There it is. And Roy Williams gets a timeout so he can go back on defense. Good call here, and Jim, you were right on it.
87-82. A 19-4 run. Boshi with the bullet for 3. 5.
I think they should use all that they can. And get the ball in Dixon's hands for the last 10 seconds.
They've worked this one down pretty good. There he is, Dixon baseline. Dixon, yes.
That was the first time in about 4 minutes that Maryland played smart basketball.
30 for Dixon, a season high for the senior. Boshi lost the handle.
Arrow, Maryland.
Yep. I tell you, the miles travel was a killer.
It really was.
At 87-82.
It is amazing. It is amazing. 52 straight games for Juan Dixon in regard to double figures, but you are right, Jim. This year, his high was 30. He had 31 against Duke in really a breakout game back as his sophomore year. The first year he made all-conference first team. And in fact, Mike Krzyzewski said that's as good a game as ever been played in Cameron Indoor Stadium by an opponent.
Here we go with 55 seconds remaining.
Got to come out and start going after a foul now. You can't wait. A lot of time gone by here by Kansas. I can't believe they're not fouling.
This is not the guy you want to put on the line. Blake, who's had a couple of misses in the late going, will get 2 more tries.
Well, down 7, 3-possession game. You have got the foul. Good comeback, however, from a championship squad in this Kansas team, Jim, when they were completely out of it just a few minutes ago.
Really think Roy Williams felt that this was going to be the year. Just a little more than a year ago as Blake has his 3rd miss.
Well, Jim, you remember a game that you and I did in Birmingham when we really thought that was the Kansas team that could not possibly be denied a national championship and ran into Arizona. Lute Olson's club just had it working perfectly.
It was a Sweet 16 game. A stunner, but Arizona went on to win that championship in '97.
That was a lot of time being taken here.
We've got Langford down with it's like an ankle.
I'm wondering if, again, we talked about a slippery floor out here.
Yeah, wrist.
And this end of the court has had all kinds of problems in this ball game. You'd hate to lose a scorer like this right now, but with an 8-point lead, you've got to be thinking 3 and then immediate fouls.
Merrill. Yep.
No time to waste. Got to put up the shot. Got to put up the shot.
That's the man you want shooting it. Boshi for 3, and it's down to 5. Timeout, Kansas. Boy, there's
still a 2-possession game. So you can't allow the shot clock to be moving at all here, Jim. You got to foul and try to go 3.
There's a senior, Boshi, stepping up. They can't stop it. Can't sum it. Full court pressure. Maryland faces now with the 5-point lead.
And you want to get the ball to this man right here, number 3, Dixon. Good play by Maryland. You want him on the line. Not much more you could ask Dixon to do this year. All-conference defensive team, first team all-conference, player of the year, first team All-American. Only man in NCAA history that's had 2,000 points, 300 steals, and 300 threes.
2 big free throws here.
Not much more you can say about a guy that not a lot of was expected of when he first showed up.
23 out of 26 in the tournament at the line. Make that 90%, right on his season average. Wilcox for Holden.
Boy, Holden is maybe the man that was the difference maker off that bench tonight. Terrific job.
Good. Yes. And they still have
They
life.
have no timeouts. That's a technical.
They still, well, yeah, that's going to be it.
They did not have any more timeouts. At a technical foul.
That's what we had just said coming out of the reset.
Yep. One of those things we have seen, Jim, before in a Final Four. Maybe a little bit more costly in that one.
Yes,
Chris Webber called his.
Crucial time.
But they did not have another timeout, and so now we have a technical situation. Dixon going to the line. Gary Williams saying, well, our prevent game was not too good. How much do we see in football when guys go to the prevent and the other teams make the comeback?
The old prevents you from winning.
That's right.
And Gooden, who had made only 8 threes on the season, not a guy that they looked for from out there, with 2 in this comeback. 2 for 2 from out behind the arc.
And Dixon is going to be sent over to the side here. Gary Williams gets a chance to talk to his team. We'll see it right here. The shot goes up. Good job by Gooden. The second big one that he's made from out there. And then you'll see the timeout situation. He's asking for it, no question.
He wasn't the only one.
Oh, no.
Collison.
Everybody's thinking that way, and Collison calls it. Gooden calls it. What Roy Williams might have been wondering about there is who was the foul called on, because the technical would be a personal, and that would be the end of the game for Gooden.
Dixon with a...
He was out there a long time,
wow.
Jim.
Rare aberration.
You know, you'd rather have your teammates on the line to simulate that foul shot as opposed to being all alone.
And Maryland inbounds at the other end. Dixon has tied his career high of 33.
And you want Dixon to break to the ball and get his hands on it once again.
Ballard trying to prevent it. Gooden can't foul him. He's got 4. Ballard's got to be the man. Timeout Maryland.
16 seconds. We are dragging it here. Dixon was hoping that somebody would just reach in and hit him, but it never happened.
Just in time. The timeout, Maryland.
Ohio State, BC, and Maryland to the NCAA tournament. Pretty hard to do, you know, Jim, to coach in 3 leagues of that significance.
Those 3 leagues. Yeah. Absolutely. Mouton.
Boy, you can see they are slipping there.
Boshi is the one who fouls him at 13.3.
Certainly hope this is not a problem, Jim, that arises for Monday night, because it's significantly very slippery on this end of the floor. It doesn't seem to have been a problem down on the other end.
Mouton, a 75% shooter.
Young man who had to suffer tremendous adversity this year as well, Jim, with losing his brother after the ball game, had to go home. He was murdered in Houston.
Big brother Kevin killed in early December, and he thought about really giving up the rest of the season, and one player made a big difference in talking him through that tragedy was Juan Dixon. 2 for 2 Mouton, very clutch. Wilcox checks in. That makes it a 3-possession situation here. The 2 by Mouton, huge. Boshi one more time.
Boy, oh boy, he's on the mark again. Doesn't get it to go.
That's going to do it. 1/10 of a second, and Miles will send Nicholas to the line.
I was just looking at Juan Dixon as he walked by us. There's no smile on his face, just a steely stare up in the sky. Now he hugs Blake, and there you can see the anguish on the part of Kirk Heinrich, who had such a great year. Right over with his coach, Roy Williams, with their heads down. It's got to be so tough for this team that was #1 in the country for so many weeks.
Maryland on Monday night will play game number 2002 in the history of the school, and they will seek the 2002 national championship. Maryland on to the final for the first time in school history, a program that began back in 1923. Well, I wonder how many brackets at the very beginning had it this way. It should be a dandy. Indiana and Maryland for the national title. ACC meets Big Ten Monday night for the championship.
Bringing this brand new car around today. It's called the...
Presenting the colors this evening are Brian Toohey, Nat Harris, Tom Hoey of the Port Authority of the Police Department of New York and New Jersey. This is the American